Let me just take a sip of water. All right. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to All About Healing, and it is time for Emily's Energy Corner. I hope you guys have had a great week. I want to open my arms up, and I just want to squeeze Dayna Macy and give her a big cyber hug, a hug through the airwaves, because, you know, you read someone's book and you feel like you get to know them. Because when you write a book, you are profoundly honest. There are things that I write about myself that I would very rarely ever say out loud. And when I'm in a writing space, I find myself offering up stories that I wouldn't generally offer up, because I get into that place where I'm literally an open book. And when I read Dayna's book, Ravenous, I read it several years ago when it first came out in 2011, and I loved it, and I was blown away. And I loved her honesty and her vulnerability and her ability to talk about her love of food, because I love food. I don't ever want to give up food, and I don't want to eat junk, crappy food either. I want beautiful, decadent, delicious, healthy, vibrant food that makes me feel good. And you know, you look at some foods that are like $1.50, and there's no way that there was something really good that went in there. It's hard. It's hard to justify, because you also have to find a balance between what you can afford and what you can make for yourself and what you want to eat that makes your body happy. And I loved her message about being kind to your body and to everyone, and to remove that judgment to yourself, because when you do judge other people, you're really just talking to yourself out loud. And I loved all of that. And I do have to say that a person that is so committed to their writing that they would be willing to go and witness something that most people in the world never will, which is to go to a slaughterhouse and see how they do treat the animals. And this obviously was a very humane slaughterhouse, but the word slaughter is the word slaughter. So at the end of the day, you're still killing an animal. And the fact that she witnessed it and wrote so softly and so fairly and so objectively and kindly to that, you know, that was actually the biggest thing for me when I read the book back then, was that a person could take me in there, because I have so many thoughts around that, so many thoughts, because I'm an animal rescue. I love animals, and yet I'm still a meat eater, and I've been a vegetarian, and I've gone back and forth, and I've even seen the way that my attitude shifts according to what I'm eating. And she just did a brilliant, beautiful job with how she wrote that book, and also to be a witness, to be honest about what you're eating and understand what you're eating. Because nowadays, you know, people get really angry about just GMOs, but you have to really see that picture of the men in hazmat suits spraying, literally spraying poison on your food. But then you see your food and it looks just the same as organic, and you think, well, the organic's 3 times the price, so I'm going to get this one. And I think these crazy hippie people that are against GMOs are stupid or silly or whatever. But the truth is, you really should know what goes in your mouth. And I should too. So that being said, Emily's Energy Corner. I loved the conversation about that weight is a metaphor, and that many times we cover ourselves up. You know, a lot of times people that have excess weight have been a victim of abuse, usually sexual abuse. I think it's like, my friend is a social worker, and we were just having this conversation a week ago about that. I think that there was a part of me that had put on a little bit of extra weight because I just was tired of being seen for constantly about my body and what I looked like and being judged by it. And sometimes you just kind of want to step back and become a little bit more invisible. And it took a while to want to be visible again and come back into the world and want to be in your body fully. Because when you are carrying some extra weight, there is stuff that's going on. And it's hard. You know, I know that in the energy corners I keep talking about that I've joined yoga and that I'm showing up. It's still really, really hard to show up. It's also really fun to show up. And I'm getting less obsessed with how I look in the class or what am I comparing to anyone. You know, I'm getting more involved with just my practice, my me time, going in there. And just today I went this morning, and I was running late, and this particular style of practice allows you to come at your own time in a certain time block, which is necessary for me because I can't get there exactly on time because I have to take my children to school, and you know, they're 4 and 6. Sometimes we're late to school, or sometimes we're almost late to school and barely get there. And that was one of the days today. Today I sat on the highway and I thought, do I really want to drive this far? And the other part of me was like, yes, I do. Even if I don't get a whole practice in, I want what I can get because I want to just go into that space and let the outside world go and just focus on a practice. Focus on a practice that isn't obsessed with anything else but what the next step is or what the current step is, the current movement, and breathing your way through it. It's so beautiful to come into that space and actually feel my body again. And now I've started to add the treadmill back into my life because, I had that thought of like, I've gotten so far away from exercise, but if God forbid something happened to me and I hurt a part of my body, I would miss exercise more than anything in the world. Yet I haven't been playing with it and dancing with it in so long either. And I've put myself back in there because I want to feel my body again. And I want to be in love with myself in full, with exactly who I am. Because I have been spending many years falling in love with who I am as me, not who I am as who you expect me to be. Not as who I am, the writer, or who I am, the person that has a radio show. I mean, just me and all my messy glory. And if I can start to love myself for all that messiness and realize that the messy is the ooey gooey goodness of life. It's yummy. It's wonderful. I don't have to put on a show. And, I never considered myself a perfectionist because Lord knows I am a clutter person. I'm not. You're not going to come in and see my counters empty. My friend has 2 friends that she allows in her house ever because everybody else that comes in her house, she has to put all of her stuff into the garage so that she can look the part of the right neighborhood that she lives in. And she knows that all these women, they have, spotless countertops. There's nothing on top. And she always says to me, you and our other friend, you guys are allowed to come over anytime, any day, because I know you won't judge me. And I don't have to go put everything away in the garage. How sad is that? Like, what you see is what you get. Who I am is who I am. And I tend to gravitate towards those people that feel the same way. I have to have that in my life. And that's a kindness and an acceptance. And I don't want to live according to anybody else's plans anymore, the universe plans and my own plans, but I don't want to live according to your perception of what I'm supposed to be doing. There was an old term in the anxiety world. They say, stop shoulding on yourself. Stop shoulding on yourself. You should do this. You should weigh this. You should eat this. You should try this. All those shoulds. Nowadays, when I hear the words you should, I kind of stop listening to the rest of the sentence. I do selective hearing, and I try really hard not to do that, especially to my children. I try very hard not to use the sentence you should. And I find that these words are very, very powerful. And you should is one that is dangerous, judging, and it's not kind. So you want to watch that. If you are a shoulder, then today's takeaway of my ramblings, because I don't plan in the energy corner because I like to see what comes up from the show. And the message today is stop shoulding on yourself. And like Dayna said, be kind, be kind, be kind. Have a wonderful week, everybody. We'll see you back here next Wednesday. You've been listening to All About Healing. Shoot me an email, emilyafrancis@gmail.com. See you soon.